things that we want to touch on here. So today's training is going to be kind of two parts. So the first is we are going to be talking about the invitation script, and then from there, I'm going to do a very brief and concise flyover of some of the important parts of the presentation. So for you that are live here now and those that are watching this in the future, you're all going to have access to what you're looking at here is the Alpha Syndicate resources page. So this is something that you'll get shared. So you'll have access to all the resources inside here. And there's nothing that you don't have access to here. So the two things I'm going to be clicking on that I already have pulled up is this team playbook. This is going to be a running list of things that you can access and jump into. We're going to focus on just one page in there. And then once we're finally sitting down in front of a couple or potential clients of yours, we're going to be walking through this one-on-one presentation. So both of those things are already pulled up. So how we go about getting in front of people is as you would expect, we've got to contact folks. So how we go about doing that has evolved over the years, but by and large, and this is words from Tyson, the most effective and the most efficient over time is going to be the phone call. You can text, you can do a Facebook message, all that stuff. But I can tell you the most effective route that has gone for me is getting on the phone with people if you are not automatically already face to face with somebody. So, what I want to cover is how do we go about getting in front of people, the mindset. We're just going to cover this for a few minutes. So, we're going to be kind of in and out. But ultimately, our goal when we're getting someone started in business is we got to get in front of people. I equate it to opening a restaurant. What we are not trying to do is have someone bring statements and like hard sell them or hard press them to do business with us. That's not who we are. And I can tell you that is not how we operate. I can also tell you that's how most of the industry does operate. Every single time I've walked through what we do in this kind of just get to know you presentation, probably 95% of the people that I sit down with that have then talked to an advisor before says, hey, this is totally different. This has really caught my attention. So all of that starts from the beginning. In the beginning is this script. And so all we need to do is get a hold of people and make an invite. The mindset that you have behind this phone call is going to determine the success of everything moving forward here. So how we go about doing this. So up here is simply just saying if you don't have someone's phone number already, shoot them a message and just say, hey, looking for your phone number. Um, Looking for your phone number. Got a question for you. But once you get a hold of somebody, the script is not, hey, I'm trying to sell you life insurance, or I just got started in the industry. I want to introduce you to a business partner, and we're gonna try and get you to do business with us. That is very salesy. People will hang up on you very quick. But you can read here. I'm not going to read verbatim, but the context of what we're trying to do here is convey why we're getting started in business, who we are, and why it would be very relevant for them to come and sit down with us. This second paragraph here, there's a bolded statement and sentence that says, we teach people how money really works so that they can create a work optional lifestyle. That's the mission of what we do. And how we go about doing that is what I want to show you. I want to spend about 20 to 30 minutes with you. I want to introduce you to a business partner and just have an open dialogue conversation, just a warm introduction. The words that you say there are going to determine yes, no, or the kind of the mood of what we're doing. I can tell you, I've had teammates in the past that say, "Hey, I just want you to know I'm not looking for you to become a client," and then we invite them to become a client, and they're like, "Well, that is not accurate." So the goal is we're making introductions and making an awareness about what we do. For those of you that are in town in the area, I want you to know that the first thing that we want people to do is get to our office. That is main objective number one. If we can get people into the office, this facility is absolutely amazing. I've waited a long time to be able to have people here. I want you guys to know that I'm having as many meetings as I physically can in this office space. My uncle came in this morning. He's like, holy crap, this is absolutely spectacular. This is 100 times cooler than your previous office. Like that is really, really awesome. Think of prospective clients, people we're making a first impression on. That's going to allow for them to come into an environment that they are going to really want to be here on. But through this script, when we are walking through this, is going to set the stage for what they're going to come to. So I'm going to invite you guys on your own time to come back in and read this script. But you can see here, would you be willing to hop on a 20-minute Zoom call, or in this case, pop over to our office? However, that verbiage is, it needs to be yours. So, Steve, Don, me, Tyson, if you just read this verbatim, someone's going to notice that. But if you use your vocabulary, how you would talk to those people naturally, it's going to make it a lot easier. But all of this is leading to getting in front of somebody and just showing this presentation. And that's where myself, Tyson, Ryan Wagner, we all come into play, and we would be walking you through that and kind of assisting. So there's not much more to cover within this script here outside of reading it, getting comfortable. When I was getting started in business, I read this 100 times over and then 100 times over again. And we had other types of quick little presentations. I would do those all day, every day if I wasn't meeting with someone when I was getting started. So walk through that, get comfortable, and that's when we can go and make some phone calls and get some meetings scheduled. So once we get meetings scheduled, we get someone in the office, we get someone on a Zoom call. What are we now presenting? What is the message we're trying to convey? What I'm not going to do today is walk slide by slide and just like, here's how I would present it. Today is going to be, here's some overarching themes from a 30,000-foot view of what needs to get covered. What are the big things? So whenever we're jumping into this, we want to let them know who we are right away. We're WealthWave. We teach people how money works. We're the Money Milestones company. What we want to jump into right away is our mission. Our mission stands out amongst the entire industry. We want to erase financial literacy to protect and build wealth. Most of our industry is servicing the wealthy and getting referrals to make more money for themselves so that they can have a fat bank account. We all want that too. We all want to help people, but we want to do it through this mission of eradicating financial literacy. So from there, then, what are we ultimately trying to solve and why? So the problem is financial literacy. The solution is not a certain stock. It's not, hey, you didn't know about this concept that the wealthy know about, that they were given access to. It's education at the end of the day, right? So here's the problem. Here's why we are here, presenting the case of why we're here. It's not just to get a better stock portfolio, it's to solve some problems that you might have in your life. From there, our solution is education. And so, what I tell clients, and what I told my uncle today when he was here, is I'm looking to speak to your understanding. I don't want to talk over your head. I don't want you to feel like I'm smarter than you or better than you. I want you to feel confident, and I want you to feel part of the process. If you are educated, and if I can help educate you and have you better informed on what we're talking about, you're going to feel more confident and receptive to what we can do moving forward. But we've got to do that. Jumping in, then, as we progress forward, we kind of set the stage. Hey, this is what we're going to cover. Here's how we kind of ultimately help people. But we want to dive into the concepts that we sit down with folks. So there's 4 that we cover. When I'm meeting with people, I'll do that. I'll say, hey, we have 4 concepts, and then I'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4 when I'm covering them, so they can kind of keep track of where we're at. The big things that we can help people with right away when we're sitting down with folks is the rule of 72. Ask them about that. Open-ended questions. Have you ever heard of that before? Do you know how it works? Do you understand it? And then from there, pick a slide that might make most sense. I really like this slide here. It's very simple in nature. We take 72 divided by an interest rate. It tells us a number. I explain to folks how this can help us and how it can hurt us, pros and cons. And I use a word of logic. I say this is something that helps you make logical decisions with your money as opposed to emotional. Explain what that means. But people seem to have that light bulb moment if they've never heard of this before, or it's just a totally foreign concept to them. Something else that we really like to cover that we want to make sure that we're conveying is where taxes come into play. This can become very, very complicated, but I think overall, how we can add value and give a little bit of education is simple in nature. Having people understand this slide at a very rudimentary level, I think, is very valuable. Most people are not putting into Roth IRAs. Most people are putting into tax deferred accounts. Meanwhile, they want their taxes to go down in the future. And so we can show them from a very high level overview how we can go about pivoting money, either A, that was already being invested, or B, allowing them to see the value and importance of why we need to do something now. So we've got these couple other concepts. Not that these are not important today, but we can cover them on a different time. There's already YouTube videos in our channel that I walk through these a little more in depth. But the one that we definitely want to hit on here is this 7 money milestone slide. So the word that stands out to me and to Tyson when we were talking this morning is the word process. I think when people that we sit down with understand and we hammer it home that we are going to walk through this process, it's defined, it has been planned out. Every single person's going to go through this. And I use this phrase, I got it from someone else that used to be in business with us, is if you refer someone to me, they're going to get treated the exact same way. The same conversation, the same education level, but they're going to get the same client process experience. These are things that we need to talk about. This is our process of how we sit down with someone with $100 to their name and $1 million and up to their name. Every single person is going to get treated the same way, but the plan and the game plan of what we do moving forward might look different. But how we go about determining that is the same process. Walking through these slides and then explaining it to them. I think this is a slide where we can casually have a conversation with someone and ask them, hey, proper protection. Do you have any questions about life insurance? Is there anything that's maybe, steered you the wrong way? What's been an experience you might find out? They got sold a policy a while back that or they were, someone approached them about it and they didn't feel comfortable. Maybe they have no clue what life insurance is. They don't understand why it's important to them, but it gets them talking. Ask through this. We're not asking them very like direct questions to immediately throw something in front of them. It's to just simply get them open and talking. When we're having a first presentation, like we had said in the script, it's about 20 to maybe 30 minutes. If you can get them talking more, if you can get them to talk even 50% of the time, you're going to likely win. If it's just us spitting information at people, they're going to walk away feeling like they were trying to be sold something. So the more conversational this can be, the better it's going to get. So moving forward, then, that's how we help clients. So then from here, the expansion side, typically in the past, I would tell you for me personally, kind of steered away from this because I've just wanted to maybe prioritize building clients or, hey, I know this person's really happy with their career. So I don't really want to approach our career aspect, our E to E movement with them. And I've grown from that over time. And the reason is we need to grow. Our industry does need more people, but also I think more and more people are understanding and coming to the concept that, hey, maybe I don't want to be an employee, or I don't like the role I'm in. I'm looking to make a change, or I'm just understanding that there's that alternate career path for people. And so a phrase that I like to use and that we've kind of coined on this side is expansion. Our industry needs to expand. WealthWave needs to expand. For those that are coming here, I'm going to be able to tell somebody, hey, we've got 5 offices and 3 of them are empty. We believe and we know that we need more people here. We've got room for folks. And so we're looking to expand our services. We can't do that by Alec and Tyson and the people on the call here working more hours. We do that by having more boots on the ground. And expansion can look a number of different ways. And that's where walking through some of these slides helps people understand, hey, you're not alone if you're unhappy. If you are happy, congratulations, but maybe you're not. And maybe some people have never heard or conceptually understood the concept of being your own boss. I love talking about this slide here and explaining to people, hey, I'm actually my own boss. No one tells me when to show up, when to leave. No one tells me when I'm allowed to take vacations. No one's breathing down my neck. There's no quotas I have to hit by the end of the week or end of the month or quarter. I am my own boss. Think about what that would look like for you. Walking through different industries. I don't always hammer this home, but maybe I'm talking to a real estate agent or someone considering being a business owner of some type, walking through what this looks like. And then from there, kind of showing how the big picture, how many people need our help, why our industry is in a kind of shortfall, where most of our industry doesn't help the average everyday American, and how coming on board with us would help kind of solve that big picture problem. We kind of painted that picture in the beginning. Hey, a lot of people are financially illiterate, and you can refer people to me. I'll take that all day, every day. However, I've actually had some clients that referred me a couple people, and I said, why don't you come on board with us? Like, you can refer someone to me, but what if you're part of the team and part of this mission? Because you can refer 100 people to me, but what about coming on board and you getting paid to do that? You don't need to be this, suit and tie person. Our industry isn't that anymore. We're looking for people that are focused on education and have a heart for serving folks. And so that's where we want to convey the message of, there's at one point the word we've used, disruption. WealthWave is looking to disrupt the financial industry. And what that looks like is coming in and just being a really great place for people to feel welcome, for questions to get asked that they may not have felt comfortable asking somewhere, or simply the word maybe hope. Come and sit down with us and you might have some hope, because most of the industry, you might not have enough money. Most people might tell them, hey, you need to have $1 million to get an hour of my time. But you come here, we don't care where you're coming from or where you're starting at. We just want to help you. And then I think slides like this, and a lot of these slides, you're not seeing this like really, old way of doing things of, a suit and tie. Even in this old way picture, I think it still conveys a nice message of community. The guy at the front isn't this like 70-year-old guy with thick glasses and a white dress shirt and tie. He's still kind of like business casual. He's younger looking. Not that that's a requirement, but it helps people maybe see the message that we are looking for kind of different types of demographics. We're looking to be different in general. So that's how we want to message that to folks. So the last slide that we then kind of walk people through is kind of what the next steps look like, and how we can proceed. So the way that I kind of vocalize that to people is I tell folks, hey, our goal for today was just to make an awareness. Going back to like this restaurant concept, maybe you never want to come back to this restaurant again, but our goal was to put a couple of appetizers and dishes in front of you, taste it. Do you like it? Do you maybe want to come back? Maybe you know a friend that would be interested in that. Same thing here. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. prospective client, maybe today wasn't necessarily for you, but maybe somebody, you've got a neighbor, a coworker, a relative, a friend that has some questions about their personal client process, or maybe you've recently had a conversation with a coworker that was really dissatisfied and they're considering a career change. We are looking for people looking for us. We are not here to convince you to do something with us. We are here because people need our services. We just simply need to find who those people are. So maybe it's you, but maybe you're a connector and a bridge to help that client or person out. And from there, that's where people sometimes say, hey, actually, I have some questions. I hate my job. I'm looking to make a change, or I need to get life insurance. I've got an old 401k, or hey, I have no interest, but actually my neighbor just became a real estate agent or something. Whatever the situation is, those come up. And so that's what the goal is. Covering all of that in about 20 to 30 minutes is very doable. But the more you practice it and get more comfortable with the content and what you're trying to convey in your own kind of style is how you narrow it down. When I first started doing this, it took me like an hour and 20 minutes to get through these slides. And people were like tapping their foot, looking at their watch. And I'm like, this is great. Not the case. They were looking to get out of there as soon as they possibly could. But as I got better at this, more people wanted to become clients. I got more referrals. I got more comfortable. I got quicker and smoother. People came in ready to talk, as opposed to, just wanting to hear us out. They came ready with statements. They had said, hey, my neighbor spoke highly of you. And that all came from starting practicing this on my own time, getting comfortable, understanding where I wanted to serve people and how I wanted to serve them, what our process looked like. So that's all stuff you got to do on your own time. But through your mentor and trainer, we're going to work together to immediately get in the field with you to cover this presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing here. I want to see, do you guys have any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns about anything we had kind of walked through there? That
I
was a
don't.
good refresher. Good, just good refresher. Yeah. Steve, what did you say?
I guess my question would be, what if the client, you know, just wants financial assistance? Do you kind of skip the whole Wealth Wave invite and just go directly to kind of more of a assisting the client with their personal financial situation? Is
So I would say yes. So what I wouldn't rule out is not covering some of the slides. But say someone calls me up and says, "Hey, I need to get life insurance." I'm not gonna not address that. So if someone comes in ready to talk business, then we do that. There's kind of two routes that people kind of fall into. There's someone that, is, hey, I have direct questions. I have someone right now that he just retired from the military. He's like, hey, I need to get life insurance. I'm not going to be like, hey, I need you to see this 30-minute slideshow and then we can talk. We're going to talk shop, but also I might ask other questions that then leads to, I've never heard of the rule of 72. Well, hey, let me show you a couple of these things real quick. So I might pivot over there, but I'm not going to necessarily walk through everything. So this is kind of a starting from scratch. Maybe someone has no clue that you're doing this, or there's no immediate need from there that kind of dictates, well, hey, let's just introduce you to who we are. And then we would go the route of showing this presentation.
okay, great.
Hey, Alec, I'll jump in here for a moment. Love that. I definitely got some nuggets from the way you're wording things. I know just for me, just more repetitions, because one of my things I've been trying to limit, because you can do that presentation in 45 minutes and, I'm sometimes a talker. And so trying to be better, be more concise. So I would agree with you that when I've been more concise, that's been happening. People are more likely and ready to set up.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And that's where I think, the kind of format from like a science perspective is, someone's going to come in, we're going to start a conversation with someone, get to know them a little bit. We're not going to just have someone walk in and just immediately present to them. So we might find out as we're asking questions, we know, or like they might think that we're just looking to get to know them, which we are. But through that process, we're finding out, hey, they're not really happy with what they're doing. You know, feeling them out. Hey, have you ever met with someone before? Yep. And we hate life insurance. Great. Awesome. Love to hear that. Hey, I already have a 401k. I've got concerns about retirement. As we're doing that, I'm then kind of making the judgment call of what to maybe sit on for a couple extra minutes, what to maybe gloss over a little bit, or what maybe is going to be most relevant to them. And then from there, that's where when we're sitting in a live meeting with someone, we might decide, hey, you know what, Tom, I just want to cover two or three of these slides just to hammer a couple bigger points with you. Or someone might say, hey, I have nothing. I'm just kind of coming in with an open mind. Let's just have a conversation about it. But generally speaking, I think as we've grown a little more comfortable and knowledgeable about how we're talking to people, it's not covering every single one of those slides. It's what are the maybe 8 to 10 on the large end and maybe 3 or 4 on the small end that are most relevant to show somebody.
Alec, I like how you guys obviously decided that process was the overarching message to convey to people. What I've done within those slides is I've actually plucked out the money milestone slide and then the cost of waiting slide, and I have those as like downloaded images to my phone that have ended up being like just great touch points for people.
Mm.
So depending on how you position what you just did from a presentation standpoint, and I don't want to steal your thunder for next week, but now comes the process of follow-up.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what I've done just in terms of, a next step is I've plucked out those two slides because I just think they encapsulate so much of that process and what we're trying to do from an education standpoint. So yeah, I think that milestone slide is perfect to say, hey, you know, which one of these milestones stands out to you as a top priority or concern in your life, and allow them to kind of
Yeah.
steer the ship.
Yeah, it forces them to talk. Yeah, if all we're doing is talking, then that's not going to necessarily work out for us. So if we can get them talking and just saying something, it allows for a more open dialogue and conversation there.
Yeah, Ryan, great job, Alec. So we had a big FedEx delivery here, right as Alec was getting going here, so I had to man that. But yeah, Ryan, you did not steal any thunder. You actually provided a little foreshadowing, so I think you're one of the best follow-up guys we have. So I want to game plan with the two of you. I think what I'd like to do next week is get a little deeper on this presentation in terms of what are some common objections that we run into, that you guys see in the field. What are some common questions people might have? What are some of the kind of the soft skills? I was doing a training with somebody the other day, and I said, we were talking about info gathering. And I said, it'd be more efficient for me to email this form I use that I think most of us use to say, hey, complete this information, a la what a doctor's office might do. Like, hey, here's a clipboard, fill it out, bring it back up when you're done. But that info gathering process is like, it's the soft skills. It's so many intangibles. I want to see how they respond to certain questions. I want to see, are they a little hesitant on maybe giving me this piece of information or that piece of information? And like, there's so much involved in that. And so I think that also applies in this one-on-one, right? Or when and the goal would be, as you get more comfortable with these concepts, you can just you don't need the slide deck. It aids the presentation, but you're so comfortable with the flow of everything that allows you to put your energy and your focus on, hey, what kind of feedback am I getting, from my prospect here? Do they seem intrigued by this? Do they seem bored by this? Do they seem, interested? Is one spouse tracking more than the other? All of those things I think we need to get into next week as we dig deeper into this, and then get into the follow-up. And, you guys are both doing a ton of that. So that would be my hope of what we get into. And so my challenge for you guys on the call today is spend some time on this one-on-one, work through it, role play it, put it into action. I'd love to get some feedback from the group next week on, even if you just do this one time in front of a new prospect this week. Like, hey, I just, met somebody for coffee. I got somebody in the office. I went through this, and here's how it went, or here's where, I was good up until this point, or whatever that is. And I just think if you're maybe hitting a sticky point on something, I think we all have been there or are there. So that would be my hope for as we move into next week. Any other updates or thoughts anybody wants to share today? All right, you guys. Well, hey, so much more to come in the coming weeks on office updates and team updates and all sorts of things. And so there's a lot in flux right now. I know a lot of us with kids are dealing with like end of school year craziness and everything else. So it's a busy time all around. But, this business just never fits in, does it? It always something you just chip away at it. And it's the process of getting better. Is a never-ending process, and so hopefully you fall in love with that. And let's keep our momentum going. And we'll chat with you all next Tuesday.
Take care.
Thanks. Thank you.